Hello, this is Mr. Storyteller, and today I will retell you a movie called A Cure for Wellness about a beautiful castle where terrible things happen. In the first frame we are shown Bill Morris, the worker of the year that fills out the financial table. While doing this work, he noticed a strange letter, but he is not optimistic right now. After a couple of seconds he feels pain in his chest. He decides to drink water, thinking that it will help, but this did not stop the heart attack. The next scene shows us a high-speed train that goes through Switzerland, and our hero Lockhart, who is taking nicotine gum and speaking the phone. That young guy has come to replace Bill Morris, and he feels prepared and ambitious. He is summoned by his superiors on an important matter. Coming to the hall, he is handed the same letter in which one of the directors of the company named Pembroke says that he decided to quit the business and not return to the city. Lockhart is obligated to find and return Pembroke, and is also informed that everyone knows about his financial fraud. Thus, Lockhart has no choice. And we return to the present. A young swindler gets off the train and takes a taxi to a sanatorium through the beautiful mountains. He holds the ballerina in his arms, which his mother left him before Lockhart's departure. In this scene, we learn that his father has long been dead. And Chef and Morris tell him a story about the castle where they are going. Previously, there lived a baron obsessed with the purity of blood. He wanted to marry his sister, but the church rejected this marriage. And later, his sister was killed and the house was burnt by the Christians. Dark story. Arriving at the place, Lockhart sees a beautiful idol and happy elderly people. The guy asks his driver to wait, and he went to the reception where he was denied a meeting with the Pembroke due to the fact that the dating session was over. Our man asks to see the manager, and while he waits, he tries to contact the office, but the patients tell him that communication is deliberately silenced here in order to improve the recovery process. While throwing the ball to the old man, Lockhart notices a hole from which a strange sound comes. When meeting with the manager, the guy arranged a meeting with Pembroke after his procedures in the evening. He finishes the water and leaves with Morris. As the two men leave, they notice a beautiful girl standing on the edge. The descent from the mountain turned out to be unsuccessful, as the deer flew into the car and caused an accident. Unconscious, Lockhart remembers his mother's death and cremation before the trip, and so he has no one left. He woke up already in one of the wards of the sanatorium, where he was met by the doctor Walmer. While trying to get up, Lockhart discovers that he has a broken leg and is in a cast. Walmer said he had already briefed his superiors, and they agreed that Lockhart needed a short vacation. The guy is surprised by this, but can't do anything yet. The doctor advises him to drink more water so that acclimatization is faster. Standing near the window and listening to the advice of the doctor, the guy notices that some man is breaking up the strange hole, and at the bottom of the glass he finds some strange beetle. Lockhart decides to look around in the hospital and observes people doing aqua aerobics, swimming in saunas, and swimming in the pool. The nurse finds him, and the guy calls himself Pembroke, so he finds out that he needs to go to the steam bath. There he enters one of the rooms and finds that he walks around, and the exit through which he passes has disappeared. After a couple of minutes through the steam, the exit is again visible, past which the deer passes. After going to the very end, Lockhart still finds Pembroke, who at first refuses to return to the city, but in the end he agrees. Lockhart asks the administrator to call a taxi and goes outside, where he meets with Victoria Watkins, a patient who is fond of crosswords and history. Deciding to take a walk, he also meets the same young girl. She tells him that she's been kept here because she is very sick, but she will be discharged soon. The girl began to leave, and at the end, Lockhart asks her name, Hannah. After a while, the guy returns to the reception but finds no taxi, no administrator, no Pembroke. In the room where the director of the company lived, there were only nurses. Lockhart came to dinner where patients and doctors gathered, and he began to reproach Wilmer in front of everyone for not giving him access to Pembroke. However, the doctor said that this is nonsense, and Pembroke became sharply ill, and they decided to redirect him to the next stage of treatment. In the midst of an argument, Lockhart's nose started bleeding and he passes out. He woke up in the office where, after a short examination, the director persuaded the guy to undergo treatment. While Wilmer is gone, Lockhart managed to steal Pembroke's medical history to find out everything. When leaving the room, Lockhart is also asked to give an urine sample to analyze progress. Having done his job, the guy puts the jar on a common stand, where he noticed strange creatures in the analysis of Victoria Watkins. The first procedure was a session in a tank filled with water. He is warned that due to the lack of the irritants, old memories and even hallucination may surface. The first minutes are great. Lockhart recalls happy moments with his father when suddenly an eel swims past him, but he does not notice him. A nurse enters the room and you won't believe it, she starts to undress. Lockhart already noticed a whole flock of eels near him and begins to panic. Calls the nurse, but he is busy with more important matters. The guy loses his oxygen mask from panic and begins to suffocate. Lockhart remembers the day his father committed suicide. At the same moment he is rescued and apologized. To the words that eels were swimming there, the employees are surprised to say that they do not see anything. Taking a flashlight, the poor fellow also finds nothing. Already in the room, Lockhart pulls out a medical card and looks at the pictures of Pembroke's diseased teeth, when he suddenly notices the noise emitted by the toilet barrel. But his attention is diverted as the walker drags a gurney with someone into the basement. The next day, Lockhart meets with Miss Watkins again, and she informs the historian that the Baron's house was in fact burned down because of the horrific experiments he performed on the locals. They were found in dried bodies in the fields. The conversation is interrupted by an employee who calls the women for procedures, leaving she whispers that dark things are going on here. After that, the guy notices Hannah, who is riding a bike. He offers her a deal. She will take him to the city if he gives her the ballerina. The girl agrees. Upon arrival in the city, the guy went to a local pub where Lockhart found out where the nearest doctor lived in order to show him the medical card. There was only a veterinarian in the city, and he said that Pembroke is clearly ill, and if he had no problems with his teeth before, then chronic dehydration may be the cause of their loss. To which Lockhart replies in surprise that they only do what they drink water there. Hannah this time decides to put on music in a bar and dance. Then besides, the local hooligan begins to pester. Lockhart runs to the bartender to call his superiors and is told that no one knew about the accident. Lockhart in desperation hangs up and goes to Hannah to ask her about the sanatorium, but the bully gets cheeky and starts a fight. Who knows how it would have ended if not for Wilmore, who breaks into the bar, takes them both and brings them back to the castle. Further, the director tells to Hannah about this incident. The girl begins to hurt her stomach and she does not want to accept any help. But in the end, Wilmore calms her down and informs her that the treatment will end soon. Lockhart wakes up from a nightmare, drinks water and sees this strange man with a gurney again. The guy goes to the bathroom and realizes that his tooth fell out. He goes to the front desk to ask for help. While the woman is gone, the guy quickly finds out where Pembroke is now. Traveling through the corridors, Lockhart finds an old man who starts screaming and so lucky to strike the orderlies that came by elevator. In one of the rooms, the guy finds Miss Watkins, who is clearly out of her mind. During the conversation, Lockhart gets scared and accidentally knocks down a shelf with containers. The walkers immediately respond to the noise and the chase began, as the results of which the guy gets into a strange room where people are in liquid and it feels like they're all dead. There he finds a Pembroke. Lockhart, horrified, begins to run away, but he has been intercepted. The guy blames everything on what he get lost, and he is just looking for a dentist. Wilmore, clearly understanding everything, brought the patient to the dentist, where they fixed him and forcibly began to remove the tooth without anesthesia. In the new shot, a new patient arrives at the castle and a poor man rushes into the car and yells at Morris to leave. The Financier finds a police station and tells the local law enforcement officer about everything. The same one gives him a little drink and said that he will come back soon. Lockhart finds a familiar bottle with his eyes and realizes that he has fallen into a trap. At the same time, a car pulls behind him. Wilmore tells the policeman that the guy is mentally ill and needs to be taken care of. The icing on the cake was Pembroke, who entered the room and said that Lockhart was trying to take him by force. After that, the guy began to doubt himself. He again went to the noise from the toilet. Opening the tank, he finds a bunch of eels and falls, but after a second, the fish disappeared. After such hallucination, he writes a letter that he received his sign and no longer wants to leave this castle anywhere. But at the end of the letter, Lockhart breaks a glass of water and cuts through the cast with a fragment, realizing that his leg is not broken. An angry guy breaks down the basement door and goes downstairs, where he finds a bunch of mutilated babies in formalin, as well as an altar with a picture of a girl very similar to Hannah, but clearly older than her. Going further, Lockhart finds a gurney with Miss Watkins, but already shrunken like a mummy. At the same time, Hannah goes for a swim in a pool when she suddenly begins her period. Lockhart hears a walker come down with another gurney. This one had the screaming old man on it, and Walker immediately threw him into the water to be eaten by the eels. After a short pause, a walker attacks Lockhart. After a couple of minutes, a young guy comes out the winner in this fight. Lockhart and Hannah miss in the hallway, but out of fright, Hannah hit the guy. The director smirks at the sign of the girl, but then a guy runs into the hall and starts telling everyone what he saw, but the patients do not want to hear him and just grab him in a crowd. Lockhart is taken to a room with strange devices, and there he meets a happy Pembroke, clearly does not understand what is happening. A moment later, Wilmore appears around the guy and tells the whole truth. Eels that lives in the water of this lake live longer than others by hundreds of years. However, this water in its pure form is toxic to humans, so it must be filtered through other people's bodies and then reap the pure medicine. After these words, Velmo inserts a hose into Locha's throat through which a liquid with live fish comes out. While the guy is resting, the director gives Hannah a dress and tells her that she has become a woman. Later, Hannah finds Lockhart in the garden and realizes that he is no longer the same as before and returns the ballerina to him. In the evening, all the castle workers gather to celebrate the wedding of the director of the castle and Hannah. Hannah is horrified and doesn't understand what is happening, so Velma leads her down to the altar and tells her that this is the place where she is to conceive, and the woman in the photo is her own mother, Velma's sister. At the same time, Lockhart, looking at the ballerina, wakes up from his dream state and begins to think rationally again. He breaks the old painting and realizes that the Baron is alive and the young girl in the photo is Hannah. Velma ties the girl up and is about to let go, while Lockhart suddenly pours a can of gasoline on the floor and begins to distract the director. Velma reveals his true form and a fight ensues in which Lockhart sets fire to the gasoline and everything is engulfed in flames. The guy frees Hannah and sparks of flame fall through the ventilation into the ballroom and set fire to the entire castle. Velma attacks Lockhart again and almost wins, but Hannah comes to the rescue in time and plunges a shovel into the doctor's handsome face. And the eels finish the job. Coming out of the basement, the guys see how everyone continues to dance against the backdrop of a burning building. They get on bike and ride down the mountain, but on the turn they are hit by a car with the company executives. They are very surprised by what is happening and order Lockhart to get into the car. But he refuses such an offer and, saying that he never felt better, gets behind the wheel again and drives on with Hannah with a wide smile.